Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Just a quick heads up. So this is a part 2 to a video that I did earlier in the week. So if you haven't watched part 1, some of what I'm saying today may not make sense. So I suggest you go and check that out. Posted it a few days ago. But the subject of these videos is the 5D methodology for dealing with negative thoughts. Now, that actually, when I say it out loud, sounds a little bit like that Zoolander, you know, the school for kids that are real pretty but can't read good or whatever it was. I might have to get my marketing people on that. It's a bit clunky. But anyway, I'll worry about that later. So in the first video, I talked about kind of the 4 common ways that I see a lot of people dealing with their negative thoughts. So we talked about denying them. We talked a little bit about dismissing them. We talked about diving into them and a little bit about distracting ourselves from them. So today we are going to talk about the technique, I guess, that I use and that I have to share with my clients as a bit of a way to actually start breaking some of these patterns apart and seeing what's on the inside of them. Now, I am a very visual person. So anytime I have a painful experience in my life, I really try to reframe it as a gift. So it's this opportunity for me to actually get beyond what I see happening on the surface and kind of work out what's actually happening so that I can make, you know, more permanent changes to the way that I'm living my life. And especially when it comes to real recurring thought patterns that you find yourself getting trapped in a lot of the time, this can be of great benefit. But I just want to say, so first of all, this can be a pretty uncomfortable experience for some people. It can feel a bit unpleasant. It can be a little bit confronting. And also, I've been doing this for a really long time. And it took me a long time to be able to be like, oh, pain, what a gift. You know, I certainly didn't start like that. So be gentle with yourself as you kind of start to commit to this process. And the other thing I will say is that there's no money back guarantee here, unfortunately. You know, learning the process of dismantling a negative emotion, even with you sit in it, you go all in, you do the hard stuff, you do the shadow work, doesn't mean, unfortunately, that you're not going to experience it again and again and again and again. But every time you do, it's a little bit easier. You become better at, you get quicker at being able to go, you know what? That's not actually mine. That doesn't actually belong to me. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, because I'm a visual person and I like to think of this as a gift that's being presented to me, as an example, I'm actually going to open one of my negative thought patterns and have a look at what's inside. So I've got it right here. Look, it's such a pretty little box. What does it say? It's got my name on it. Here comes my negative thought. Dear Megan, you're a terrible mother. I feel like I've been receiving this gift an awful lot this year, especially since homeschooling started. Okay, so here's the thought. Here it comes. You're a terrible mother. Now, for a long time, I would stop there and that would get caught on loop, on repeat. You're a terrible mother. You're a terrible mother. You're a terrible mother. And that groove, you know, you grease the groove. And that becomes really part of your neural programming, part of your pathways. The default mode gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And it kind of ends there. You know, you end in this feeling. However, over the years, I've learned to practice kind of going a little bit deeper every time. So let's open it up and see what's inside. So exciting. Oh, there's a box. Oh, my favorite. Shame. Yeah. Now, first of all, I will just share for you from my own experience. And this is obviously completely different for every single person. And this is another time you really have to kind of check in with your intuition and start to be able to name these feelings for yourself. But I know I'm feeling shame when I feel sick to my stomach and hot in my face. Okay. I also know that generally speaking, I could take almost every emotion I ever experience, and the root cause of it is either shame or fear. You know, it kind of boils down to that a lot of the time. So this is not the first time I have received this gift. And again, I can stop here and be like, yep, it's shame. Sometimes just that awareness of it, like, oh, okay, it's shame, you know, that may be enough. That's as far as I have to go sometimes. But if this shame about being a terrible mother, which I know to be an untrue statement, keeps coming up, then I need to dig a little bit deeper. So let's open it up and see what's inside. Ooh, we've got a couple little things in here. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got in here? What's causing that? Oh, okay. Oh, Look, we've got some societal expectations of mothers. Now, this is probably, got a lot to do with what I see on other people's Instagram. Oh, they spend this much time with their family. Oh my God, look at the meals that they cook them all the time. Look how clean their house is. Oh my God, her hair always looks incredible. It's a lot of that kind of going on. And the societal expectations of mothers. Can we all just agree that, in this day and age, they're pretty ridiculous, actually. There's a lot of pressure on a lot of women to not only be a full-time mom, but also have a full-time job and a soul-aligned side hustle in there somewhere, whilst feeding their kids all organic food, making sure that they are both culturally and academically enriched at all times, and also maintaining a physique that could go on the cover of a fitness mag. It's a bit ridiculous when you actually start to think about it. Now, I can look at this one and go, you know what? That actually doesn't belong to me. See you later. Don't need it. What else have we got in here? Woo! This is one I like. So compare and despair. So that's a little bit related to what I was just talking about. Again, it's often got to do with scrolling through other people's social media accounts, that even though I am hyper aware that that is the highlight reel of someone's life and that I'm not seeing what's going on behind the scenes, it's hard to not look at that and compare myself to it sometimes. So I can look at this and go, is this beneficial for me to compare myself to anybody else right now? Nope. We can get rid of that one. What's this one? Oh, unsolicited advice, no matter how well intentioned. Now, this is often generational advice, and you can often, you can kind of identify it sometimes if the sentence starts with, well, back in my day, and ends with some sort of recommendation for beating your children. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to make light of that scenario, but this is something else that we do hear a lot about sometimes, especially from the older generations. Back in my day, children respected their elders, or they didn't talk back, or they didn't do this and they didn't do that. Yeah. And they also weren't very mentally healthy and emotionally healthy. And, we know a lot more about trauma and how that's cultivated in early childhood experiences. And so we have a lot more education. Now, that being said, it can be of great benefit sometimes for me to listen to people who have gone before about the different ways that they approach things, because there can be some good nuggets in there. But like I said at the beginning, if it starts with a recommendation to smack my children, I'm going to just completely disregard anything they've told me. Ooh, and then we've got some either or thinking, which when it comes to being a bad mother really kind of comes out for me is I can be perfect, or I can be a failure. And I would hope that most of us know by now that aiming for perfection all the time, especially with something as complicated and multifaceted and ever-changing as being a mom, especially in the world at the moment, that's a very unrealistic goal. Okay? So I need to be able to step back and go, did I do everything perfectly today? Nope. Does that mean I'm a total failure? Also no. This is where you can really switch your either or thinking to the both and thinking. I both did things really well, and I screwed some of them up. Now, the thing about shame and being a bad mom is that in my experience, it's also really important to not just completely dismiss this. Sometimes I am a bad mom. Sometimes I do lose my temper and I do scream at my kids and I do owe them an apology. And I have to sit with that and really work out what happened and wait until I'm in a place where I can go to them and say, I'm really sorry about how I handled that, and stop the sentence there without adding on, but you made me feel, because that's not cool. I have to be the grown-up that models the healthy behavior for them. Now, does this mean that I am never again going to feel like a bad mom? Hell no. I'm probably going to feel like a bad mom at bedtime tonight, and I'll probably feel it numerous times throughout the day tomorrow. However, just this simple, quick exercise, this process of unpacking it and kind of sitting with it for a few minutes and seeing what's really there, where's this really coming from, gives me the opportunity to ask myself some questions. So, does this belong to me? Do the societal expectations belong to me? No, I'm inheriting those from the media mostly, which, as we know, is pretty messed up. The generational advice, that kind of stuff, does that belong to me? No, I'm inheriting that. Some of that's really outdated information. Again, some of it may be of benefit. So, kind of take what you like and leave the rest. The either or thinking, that's not beneficial. That black and white thinking is rarely going to be productive in terms of actually dealing with these thoughts. So I know next time I feel myself falling into that either or, something to be aware of. Okay, you're doing the best you can. It gives me the ability and the power to step back and take a look. Compare and despair, that's probably the easiest one in all of this. The second I find myself making a comparison to someone else, it gives me the ability to say, you know what, stay in your own lane and pull it back. So what I would love for all of you to do, certainly if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below or send me a DM. This will all be up in a written format on the blog at some point in the next week or so. So it will actually have kind of step-by-step ways to work through everything that I've talked about in these 2 videos. But the next time you find yourself having a negative thought, instead of, denying, dismissing, diving in, or distracting yourself from it, I would love for you to choose to dismantle it a little bit. And that is what I just did here. So grab a piece of paper and a pen, put the thought or feeling at the top, and then just kind of work yourself back. So you're kind of reverse engineering and going, I'm a bad mom because I didn't feed my kids organic food all day today. Okay, well, where did I get this belief that you have to do that to be a good mom? Societal expectation. Okay, I'm not a good mom because I don't do it as well as fill in the blank. That's comparison. So just start to pick it apart. Just start to pick it apart a little bit so that you can start to see what's actually at the bottom of it, because that's going to give you the ability to start to think of it a different way, to start to deal with it a different way. As always, let me know your thoughts. Pop me a note whenever you want, via email, DM, in the comments, whatever works for you. Send me a carrier pigeon. I don't know if they're allowed out of their 5-kilometer radius actually, so maybe don't do that. I'm not sure what the legislation is at the moment about animal transport. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Would love to hear your feedback, and I will see you soon.